exciting event today. But before I introduce today's presenters, I'm going to tell you a little bit about what's coming up. Next week, we have Jazz to Classical Music of Manson. Well, I'm not even going to read the whole title. What it is, it's a group of musicians, there's 5 musicians who are symphonic musicians. You've got a keyboardist and a cellist and a drummer and whatever, bass player, and they're coming together to play jazz and classical music. And they've been around the block quite a bit. You know, the lead player plays the keyboard, and he taught at Berklee College of Music, he taught at UC Berkeley, and his wife played the cello for an orchestra. So they're really up there, and they should be quite wonderful. So I hope you can come out for that. Then on March 25th, we have the Warrior Riders, and what this is a group of young people who went to war, either Iraq or Afghanistan, and they're going to come up in a panel, they're going to read some writing, they come together and they write to heal. They're not necessarily professionals, they just write to heal. And so they're going to come, and they're going to talk about their experiences, and they're going to read their work. So hopefully you'll come up for that. And I think that's as far as I want to take it. You can pick up one of these in the lobby, and if you would like to sign our mailing list, if you haven't done so already, we'll be sending you flyers or emailing them to you for the rest of your life. So you do that. Also, there are lots of flyers you can pick up. And there's a whole other table with books to sell, to buy, by the 2 featured readers today, and they'll be happy to sign them for you. So, and they're giving you a great deal today, so you might want to pick up some of those as well. So, I know I just asked this, but Claudia, you're going first? Okay, so I'm just going to introduce both of our presenters, and then they'll come up one right after another. So Claudia Redder is the author of My Father in Europe and Other Poems, and Uncertain Earth. She teaches at CSU Channel Islands. Actually, both of them do. Come on down. And she's published in literary journals. Her poems have appeared, and she's received awards from Lilith International Quarterly, and she's working on a poetic memoir, The Body Narrative. So, and she's also a great storyteller. That's her background. Mary Kay Rummel is the Poet Laureate of Ventura County, and she's got 7 books of poetry. She has The Lifeline Trembles, which is brand new from Blue Light Press, and won their poetry prize. And she has, her latest book is What's Left in the Singing, and that's also published by Blue Light. And I think she has a few others out there as well. And she also teaches at Channel Islands. So for those of you who are transferring, you can look for them. So let's give them a warm welcome. Oops, you're going to have to pull that up.
Okay. Does that work? Not really techy.
Please turn your cell phones off.
Oh, thank you. Can
Or
you hear me?
silent?
Is that it? Yes. Button down. Okay. Well, thank you, Shelley, for this wonderful program. It's really great to have it every week, too. And I'm so glad that you came out for poetry. I know it's not something that's often done a lot of. So I always tell my students they have to go to a poetry reading every year. And they're really amazed how wonderful it can be just to sit and listen. I'm going to work backwards, meaning I'm going to start with some new poems from the body narrative and then work backwards to older poems. The body narrative, which is a terrible title, it's just a working title. I'm not good with titles, but I know when the book is done I'll find the title. But it does reflect a time when, as we all know, life can spin on a dime. And suddenly I was stricken with this illness, and for a few years, who knows where they went. So I wanted to capture that because, as we all know who struggle with medical things, the doctors are not storytellers or poets. They collect the data and the yes or the no. But there's a whole story to tell behind what happens to people, and that's what doctors need to hear. So the first opening poem is called Imagine Mundi, and it sort of sets up the whole book. And you will find in here there is someone I call a host who comes, and she's the one who helps me through it. At first I didn't honor her. Time, but he did love art, and he had a book of mural prints on his lap, and I would help him turn the pages. And we didn't speak much, but we just enjoyed looking. So that's where this poem came from. I'm going to read one of them here.
Editor.
What?
Editor, right here.
Oh, I didn't recognize you. Hi, Good, two people from Terrell. Thank you. But I had never lived in such a little town ever in my life. It was like an Agatha Christie novel town where, you know, it's just great. Well, so it's the kind of place where you could go to the movies or just walk in town and you find everybody you wanted to know that day and go home. But I was really struck when I had to leave by all the nature around us. We lived very near the Padres National Forest, and that's what this is about. It's really in praise of all the wildlife there. It's called Oh Hi Sweet, S-U-I-T-E, the musical. I'm so honored to read with you.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks, Shelley. Does that sound okay now?
Yes. You have to just stand. She's like me, really short.
I can't
You
get
can't
that.
do this podium shoot.
Thank you. I'm glad you all came. My husband's teaching at this moment over in Channel. He also teaches that. It's the least you could do, but he wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. They have other classes and stuff, so they, can't. So anyway, I'm going to read some poems about sources of inspiration, things that have inspired me. And some of the poems are from my new book, and The Light Light Trembles, and then some are some new ones that I've written since the book came out. But that's sort of the thing. But I'm going to start with this poem about, as a way of introducing myself to you. Some of you have heard it before, but a lot of you haven't. So it's called Ars Poetica, and it's about the things in my life that made me into a writer. Sort of tells my story. I came from my childhood. Where's home? From the memory room of my brain, Seamus Haney's voice floats. You are neither here nor there. A hurry through which known and strange things pass. A pipe I am, a vessel of music, assigned to seat 11A, moving mid to west above the continent in the vacant space once called God's. To the plane's blinking wing I give Yeats' stolen child, all of it. Bishop's moose, the start of it. The nimble music of Hopkins' wreck, part of it. Thou knowest the walls, alter and hour and night, the swoon of a heart that the sweep and the hurlily trod. The flight attendant comes by for trash and Eliot intones in my head, because these wings are no longer wings to fly, but merely bands to beat the air. The captain's voice announces our descent. I turn back to my fertile window, teach us to care and not to care. First the desert of small LA house tracks, then as light-studded spines of buildings slowly rise into view. I think Emily here, her certain slant. Waiting traffic stalled at salt-rimmed lights, tiny boats and rising lace-drenched sea swells. With brave Neruda, I want to be and be nothing but light in the dark. Scarlet sunset strikes the seaside hills, the flight of a country made of smog and beauty.
Well, Poet Laureate of Ventura County, and you can find my poems online on my site called marykrummel.com. And my poems cover a lot of journeys, life journeys, travel journeys, everyday journeys, but that's sort of the theme.
My name's Claudia Redder, and you can reach me at claudia.redder@csuci.edu, and then I have a website where you can learn more about me and what I do. My poetry is a way to grapple with memories, to make them more palatable for those that aren't, and to make others just give me time to reflect on them and absorb what's happened in life.